So I started my private practice in 2020 during the pandemic. And I've always had this goal of putting some CEU things out into the world to have a passive stream of income. And I have generated multiple lists. I kind of have an idea of how to go about getting board approval or CE approval, but then it just never gets done. So I feel like I know a lot of the information that you're going to tell us, teach us. Maybe I don't, but I also just need the kick in the butt to get things done because I find other stuff to do. Like pet the dogs and eat apples on the couch. Anyway, I'm going to mute myself unless there's anything, but I'm close to you. So maybe one day when I come down to Columbus, because I want to go. There's a shoe store in Easton I did not know they had in Easton called I think it's Free Bird Shoes. Oh my gosh.
Oh, I didn't know they had one of those there. All birds?
No, free. Is it free?
This is Free Birds? Okay.
Maybe it's not birds. Anyways, cowboy boots. And I have wide feet and I've been wanting these boots forever, but I don't want to buy them online because they might not fit. But now they have one in Columbus, so I'll go down there. Perfect. Everybody, I'm going to mute myself.
I'll meet you for lunch. All right. Thanks, Larissa. Okay. And, you know, that's a really great point that these are things that you could all figure out, you know, with time and Google and, you know, but a container like this is so nice because we go through it together step by step. We support each other along the way. You can get all your questions answered. I have templates for you. I've done this a lot. And I kind of know what works and what doesn't work. So it's not that you couldn't do it on your own, but this way, this is going to get you there. And yeah, all right. So next on my screen is Cynthia. Hi, Cynthia. And welcome to Tawana. We're just going around and doing introductions, and I'm just calling it on people in the order that they are on my screen.
Perfect. Hi, everybody. I'm Cynthia Welsh. I currently have a small private practice just outside of Baltimore, Maryland. So it's Towson, Maryland. That's both Zoom and in person. And I just have 2 other clinicians that work with me. I have been a clinician now for 25 years. Before I started private practice, which was about 4 or 5 years ago, I worked for a very large mental health agency and hospital. It's called Shepherd Pratt here in the Baltimore area. And when I did that, I was, for about 14 years of it, I was the director of multiple programs. And so as that role, I had to do tons of presentations, and CEUs were provided through Shepherd Pratt, not through me. And I didn't know any of it. They do. So I love doing group presentations. I love doing this kind of stuff. I tend to also be, as Larissa said, I'm a gabber and have to keep myself on focus. But the reason why my CEU, if anyone's staying after this, is my first thought is family therapy, because I'll go to so many trainings, and I don't know how you guys feel, but it's like, here's the theoretical perspective and here's step 1 and all the different things, but no one tells you like how to make an environment for families. Like, how do you work with them? How do you bond with them? Like the actual, like business, not business, the actual relationship of therapy. So that's where I want to start. I have a couple of other things. I'm also starting coaching, Liz, and trying to do that as a multiple income stream. And I also joined because I want a community, really, and like people that I could talk to. And if I get off track, that they can help me and then I can help them. And maybe we can all just like bond together over like, oh no, what are we doing? So that's me. Nice to meet you guys.
So glad to be here. Okay, Rachel, you're up next.
Hi, everybody. I'm Rachel Levine, and I am in private practice in the Pacific Northwest. I might be the most west person here. I don't know. I'm in Seattle, Washington, and I focus on trauma and sex therapy. And one of the things that I also do is I have a contract with a group of attorneys. I'm kind of the in-house therapist, if you will. And before I was a therapist, I was also an attorney, and I just have such a heart for attorneys, and so I think I've decided. So talking with you, Michelle, last year, you really helped me. They actually came to me and wanted me to do, because attorneys also need CE credits. We call them CLEs. And so I was able to put on one for them and get paid for it. And so I was like, and it's way easier to be a CLE provider to be able to get. So I'm already approved as one. Like I literally sent into the bar and they were like, great, here's your number. And so I think I'm going to put my energy towards creating CLEs. And I wanted to be in here because, yeah, I need to just get focused. And I know that you don't do this, but I need to like sit down and whatever, color code my schedule. I need something to be like, this is when I am focusing on my CE stuff. Like I just have to, because so I'm very aware of nobody's coming in and doing this for me. I have to be the one that is the CEO, the COO, that like right now anyway, right? I'm not quite there to hire all these other people to do this. So so that's where I'm in my journey.
Welcome. We're so glad you're here. And, that's an excellent point. That's something that I have gotten to do as well. Recently, a few months ago, I had a group of physicians hire me. They just contracted with me to come in and teach them about clinical indications for EMDR. And they got their medical CEUs, their CMEs, or whatever they call theirs. They were already a provider through the medical board. And, so that's something else that everyone here can do. Once you start to establish yourself as an expert and you start to make some connections, is you can get hired through agencies, organizations, even different professions, to go in and teach for them, and they do the CEUs for you. And I just did that a couple of weeks ago at a local agency that's a provider in the state of Ohio. I did give them a little bit of a discount because I didn't administer the certificates and all that stuff. I just showed up and gave a presentation, and it was wonderful. So just know that you can do that in addition to your own CEs that you're getting approved. Welcome, Tina. Welcome, Tina. We're just going around and doing introductions, and I'm just going in order. So we were just talking about how Rachel was just talking, and Rachel is also an attorney, and she's been able to teach some law continuing education courses. So we can teach more than mental health if we partner with someone who already has that approval. And that's a wonderful way to expand your offers and your training. It's one of my favorites.
And just to share, since it's different, I'm an LMHC, not a social worker.
Okay, yeah, and we have someone else. So once you're in the mastermind, you're in as long as it exists. It's a lifetime membership, and so we've had other people before that were LMHC, which is only in certain states. Yeah, you're kind of different, like LISWs are.
Yeah, I think maybe the equivalent is an LPC, a licensed professional counselor. Is that right in other states? Yeah.
All right. So next on my screen, I have Laura. Hi, Laura.
Hello, I am Laura Jacobs, also a social worker. I am in Oklahoma City. I worked for agencies and the State Department of Mental Health for all of my career until January of 23. I opened up my own practice. It's just me. I just now added an in-person day, but primarily I do virtual. I'm also licensed in Texas, and I have given a short, like an hour-long presentation, and then an hour and a half long. Well, yeah, it was an hour and a half long presentation, but one of them was not for CEs; it was for like candidates, and the other one I did it as part of a conference, so I was like under their CEs. But I'd like to be able to offer it. It's on, it's just a very like an intro for mental health professionals into infertility counseling. Not so much like, oh, now you're trained on how to do this, but sort of like, this is what this entails. This is what this looks like, things to be aware of. And, if you want more information on specializing, that sort of thing. But I went through the process of getting approved for our state LPC board, but my LCSW board is making it more difficult. And then, of course, to offer it outside of my state, I guess I know people can take it and then present it, and it's kind of like up to their board whether or not they want to, accept it if I'm not approved through like a national situation. And when I looked at the national requirements, I was just like, I don't even know what this means. Like, I don't like what. And so I saw I'm finishing up my 3-month coaching with Audrey Sholin.
Yeah. Audrey
And
Shane.
yes. Is that how she says it?
Yeah, she pronounces it Shane.
Okay. See, look, I completely butchered that.
You said you said it how it's spelled.
Yeah. So she gave me your information, and I looked at this, like the self-study one, and I was just like, okay, we have to be honest about who we are as people, and self-study is not me. So, like a lot of what everybody else has shared, I think just having the accountability piece, having a little bit of like a timeline structure, I mean, I know it's not like this is due now, but it's still more structured than me just like saying, oh, I'll get to that. Oh, I'll get to that. And what I've found in the past when I've tried to do self-study is I always have questions that then you're like sending off an email and maybe you get a response, so I just thought that this would be a better way for me to try to learn all of this.
Well, good. I'm so glad you're here. And it is really the mental health continuing education process. It is so gatekeepy. And I have realized through this process just how divided we are in the United States. There are literally hundreds of different ways that you can get approved to be a CE provider. And some of them, like you said, it's up to each person's board whether or not they will accept. And a lot of states will accept other states. So the good news is if you're already a provider in your state, you can offer that as well alongside whichever national one you go through. So that's another reason why this mastermind was born, is because people would say, do you cover all the options in your course? Well, no, there are literally hundreds, like every state, every licensure, every profession, plus all of the like state level organizations and the big national organizations. So here we can do that. I can get you the customized, help that you need to point you in the right direction. And yeah, we're going to get it done. All right. So Tawana is next on my screen. Hi, Tawana.
Hello, beauties. Good to see you all. And
Hello. So good to
so
see
nice
you.
to see you in person. Well,
Yes.
virtually, but oh my God, we're in these Facebook streets together, So this is lovely to put a beautiful face to the name. Hi everyone. I am in Connecticut, bracing for a big nor'easter tomorrow. Supposed to get about 15 inches of snow. So
Oh my goodness. Is
gonna,
anybody else affected by that in New York or Maryland? Yeah. Oh,
mhm.
everybody hunker down.
Yeah.
Go get your milk and
Oh,
bread.
oh yeah, I got it. Got my cookies, got my
Okay,
brownie
good.
mix, got my ice cream. I'm good. I'm
Perfect.
good.
Okay, good.
Um, and so I apologize that I was running. I had a session run over. So would you mind letting me know what you are like to know from us?
Oh, absolutely. And I do want to say too, never apologize if you need to sneak in late. I'll keep an eye to let you in. I
Thank
know
you
we're
so
all
much, and I
therapists.
apologize to
No
everybody.
problem. It's okay. We all go up to the wire on our sessions. We get here when we can. We go for 90 minutes. I usually try to stay for 90 minutes.
Perfect.
But
That's great.
if
I'm
anybody needs
grateful
to
for
hop
that.
off, you can. So what we're doing, Tawana, is just tell us a little bit about you,
Okay.
and what you're thinking as far as your goal with your continuing education training.
Lovely. Thank you. Well,
Yeah.
I got to give Michelle her flowers, y'all, because with my neurospicy brain and I didn't expect last year was my first full year of only having one job ever in my life as opposed to five. which is my business, Sacred Ground Institute. I'm by trade a licensed clinical social worker, coming into my 21st year of practice, and I was so booked and busy that, like, when I had applied for this last year, I wasn't actually able to join the beautiful folks in her mastermind. And I reached back out to her and she allowed me to join this cohort. So I'm really grateful to be here with y'all. And just thank you, Michelle. Like, just gotta give you your flowers. Like, thank you for your
Oh.
graciousness. You could have been like, kick rocks, lost your chance. Like, no, I'm seriously, because there's a lot, I'm a consultant in training for EMDR, and the journey to get there was just a lot of gatekeeping and a lot of like, oh, you're too shiny of a unicorn, like we don't understand you, we don't understand your autism and you're this, and like how you showing up, like, so so I've had to, so I've just been a lot of people shut the door on me, so it was grateful that you were one that didn't, so thank you. So I've been the past year and a half or more, I've been actually teaching like all over nationally, and statewide, on a couple of courses that I have already developed, and I've been basically partnering through these agencies and institutions. So I haven't had to, they've applied the CEU. So I've done, um, last August, I did an 8-hour in-person training, and that was fucking phenomenal. And that was approved for our recovery support specialists in the state of Connecticut. So for their continuing ed, that was lovely. And I've been partnering with organizations throughout the country, and so like I've got 8 engagements already this year, where I'm just showing up and teaching, and they're applying. I have to write out like the description and the objectives, all that stuff, but like they're applying their CEUs to the training. So that's really exciting. But my goal is to become, apply for provider status, because I really want to have as much reach as possible, uh, for all licensing professionals, but also veterinary professionals, lawyers, EMTs, like all, the folks that I know would really, really benefit from my curriculum, which is really focused on, and I think it was, somebody mentioned, like you could learn about all the theory, but like, what does that really look like in practice with like creating safety and equity with when you are working with your folks, right? And so I really, my trainings tend to be very experiential and embodied learning, where I'm engaging the audience in the very processes and mechanisms involved that they need to do with their clients. And so they're learning in vivo. And so a lot of like trauma, attachment, polyvagal, and so I just would love to, kind of get my curriculum out there, and I'm an aspiring, in 2025 I can apply to be like a approved consultant, but I want to be the second EMDR trainer of color, as approved by Indria. So like I've got a lot of goals, but this
Yeah.
has been on my bucket list, and I think it's going to really help me, strengthen what I can offer. And I'm just really excited. Thank you.
Yes, we're so excited to have your sparkling unicorn self with us. All right, Tina, you're up next.
Okay, I may cough. I woke up with a pretty bad cough this morning, so
no problem.
don't mind me. So my name's Tina. I'm a licensed clinical social worker, also a doctor of social work. I'm licensed in New York, Florida, Georgia, almost Massachusetts, hopefully within the next few weeks or so. I have a private practice, but I'm also a holistic practitioner as well. And my research for my doctorate was focused on complementary and alternative interventions in clinical social work practice. I have a ton of research in that area, and I know it's a very significant need for application of complementary and alternative interventions in clinical practice. Just unfortunate that the boards, the ASWB, the CSWE, because I've done my outreach, they do not provide any applications to how to do that. And it's a big, significant need. So although I have my private practice, I've also started a Facebook group working with more unconventional, call them our black sheep therapists, and how to embrace kind of these unconventional practices alongside theory, and alongside like empirically supported interventions to, you know, kind of help the kind of woo-woo practitioners to feel a lot more competent in what they're doing. It's an absolute passion piece of mine, but it's also, I feel like, a huge necessity, because it's exactly how I do my practice with clients. So I integrate like human design, oracle cards, lifeline technique alongside like clinically and kind of the science evidence-based practices as well. So I'm currently in the process of building a curriculum to help therapists kind of transition to more an innovative practitioner, but doing so again by like really focusing on the theoretical components. And I love this, but I also want to help other therapists also teach this as well. So as I was building my curriculum, I'm like, this is very educational. I was like, you know, that people should be getting CEUs for this, like, because it's a lot of scientific information, rooted in, you know, like I said, theory. So my off goal, like down the line, years, maybe not even years from now, maybe a year from now, is I want to help therapists with whatever, you know, complementary alternative intervention that they're using, find a way to formulate it in kind of an evidence-based way into their practice, but then also be able to teach it. I'm not the guru. I don't know every single complementary, spiritual, innovative type practice that exists, but I can definitely help anyone figure that out. So I would like to turn like the specialties that I use in my practice into continuing education, but I also want to help therapists take whatever their skill or passion is and also do the same. So that's why I'm here.
Yay, so glad you're here.
Yeah.
Welcome, welcome. All right, last but not least, Tasha. Hi, Tasha. And am I saying your name right? Do you pronounce it Tasha?
Yes,
Okay.
it's Tasha. And I'll jump off here. Sorry. Yeah, I woke up sick. Somebody else said that too. So I am in Huntington Beach, California. And I am an LMFT. I have been practicing for a while now, 10 years, but I've been licensed for four or five. I had a speed bump called cancer on my journey. Yeah. So it's like, but I've been single-minded since before I got my license. And the whole reason why I got my license is to help people with chronic health conditions. I've had my own chronic health issues for 18 years and couldn't find, specific help that people like really understood all the nuances. And so basically became that. And then after working with people, so I thought I would go to school and I thought I would learn it in our program. And at least for the LMFT, but most of the ones that I know, there's nothing on how to truly treat chronic health conditions, which population-wise, about 70% have some sort of issue. So it's the numbers, and anyways, so I have done a boatload of other research, neuroscience, physical therapy type stuff. And I've created my own kind of framework based on all of that information and lived experience and like what's been working with clients to really help them, because it's trauma work, it's grief work, it's identity work, it's all these things. So I didn't reinvent the wheel, but in doing all and spending all the money for all the different trainings, and then, half of it doesn't work, but maybe this one thing works here or there, and then plus this own crazy squirrel mind of mine. I've just taken all of that and put it into a framework so that I can teach clinicians. And last year I delivered, sorry, my voice is awful. Last year I delivered a 40-hour in-house training for clinician for a group practice. And then I have a shorter framework, and then I'll be presenting in person in April at a conference. So everybody's else has always done the CEs. But I want to be able to offer this to people. I was last year, I don't know, almost coming on 2 years, has been crazy. My husband got really sick with stage 4 lymphoma and brain tumors. And so I walked through that with him, and then he passed away in September. And I've just taken time off. So coming back into work and focusing on like, okay, how do I get going again? I just kind of needed the support and the guidance to because I had already bought the course, the self-direct, and it was done 0. So I was like, okay, I needed the and with good reason, but just needing the like, okay, let's get some stuff up there. It doesn't have to be all of it, but it can be some of. I have stuff that's recorded that I'm like, if I just do it and get it up there, it'll be something. And then I do like doing the live, like in-person ones, but that also takes a lot out of me. So I eventually foresee kind of having, I don't know if certification is the right word, but like having people really like certified as a whole being, mental health treatment who specializes in chronic health conditions. So.
Well, welcome. I'm so glad that you're
me.
here.
I'm glad to be here too.
Yes.
Pop off screen so you don't see all this.
Oh, you look great, but rest your
hot mess. You don't want to see me sneezing and harping.
Hey, we can't catch it through the screen, so.
I know.
Well, and I've been following Tasha's journey on social media with the loss of her husband, and it's just beautiful the way that you have shared your love for him. It just absolutely shines through. I feel like I know you both a little bit. So, okay, well, I'm so glad that all of you are here and you have such amazing ideas. And this is always an amazing group. I think that when maybe we're all a little bit squirrel brain or all a little out of the box, which is what makes us want to do bigger things. But getting approved for CEUs is very in the box. It's a very boxed in process. I mean, for lack of better words. So the way that I approach this may be different than what some of you expect. For someone like Tasha, when you say I've already got slides, that I can use, that can sometimes make it harder. So the way we start is we're going to decide which organization to apply through first. And then we're going to look at their guidelines, and then we're going to build out our course. Now, if you already have a course that fits, great. But one of the things that you're going to find, and, I'm looking at you, my 2 doctoral social workers, with your really out of the box ideas, coaching and, alternate healing methods. I've talked to you both before about how we're going to have to put some spin on this, because there are things that certain organizations, like, for example, ASWB is probably the hardest, but there are some states that are really difficult as well. Like one of the states, I think it's Maine or somewhere on the East Coast, does not even allow polyvagal theory because they don't believe that the evidence is strong enough. So to get approved for a CE, it has to continue on with graduate level education. So the idea is it's a continuation of your grad school. So if you were in like year 4 or year 6 of grad school, these are the things you would be learning. They're postgraduate, so they're advanced. They are, if you have a very straightforward clinical topic that is evidence-based, you're going to be fine. Like those are always going to be approved. But when you're doing something a little bit different, like incorporating coaching skills or incorporating things like human design, what you have to do is it's just really a PR issue. It's a matter of spinning your words so that it fits. So you're not saying, hey, therapists, come learn human design. What you're saying is learn how, learn how personality types can support your clients. I'm just throwing that out there, or like for you, Liz, it would be how specific skills from coaching, and you could even name those out. Some of those skills that you do, like I know one is the asking the powerful questions, how powerful questions can inform supervision. But you're not saying, hey, social workers, I'm teaching you coaching, because AFWB is going to go, coaching is not on their not allowed list. So we will get into all of that a lot more specifically, but let me show you some stuff. Let me give you a little orientation. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so let's see. This document is, can everybody see this document that says roadmap to your CEU course? Or, oh, you don't have it yet. Here we go. How about now? Yep. Okay. This is in the email that I sent you that went out very recently, that should have went out yesterday. And you'll see where you can click it. And then you either click use template or make a copy, but you want to save it in your Google Drive. And this has a ton of stuff in here that you'll want to refer back to. So here's the CEU course planning checklist. It's just my freebie, but the structure is basically the same. If you want to use that as a checklist, here's the Zoom meeting. It'll always be the same. The calendar, here's the course. So this will take you to the link where you can log into the course. And then there's also something called the Mastermind Hub. Now, it's not mandatory that you use that, but the last round of the Mastermind thought it would be helpful to have kind of like a platform online where everything is in one place that you can sort of click through. And you can do that in the Mastermind Hub. The actual course is chock full of stuff. I'll show you that in a minute. Let me know if anybody needs help getting in there, if you need your login. Unfortunately, the system I use is kind of annoying. You're going to have it all has you can log in through the portal, but then each one is going to have a different temporary password. And what I suggest is just changing those so they're both the same password, and then it'll all show up on one page when you go to log in. And then I've got some templates for you in here, and I'm also happy to help you create anything that you need, like sign-in sheets and certificates, and they're going to want to see all that stuff. Everybody's going to have a slightly different process based on which organization they apply through, but there's going to be a lot in common, and there will be things that you all need. This link takes you to our Voxer group. I don't know if you've used Voxer before. If you have not, it is my favorite way to communicate. It's a free walkie-talkie app. You can message me directly. We also have a group for our mastermind. It's a very supportive group. People are always in there saying, hey, can you help me share my next training? Or, hey, what do you think about this? I could use some ideas on this. It's just a very supportive space where you can get your questions answered, and you can share stuff with other members for them to give you feedback. So highly recommend. What you do is just find me on Voxer, and then I think it's just M. Risser. Find me on Voxer, send me a message, and I'll add you to the group chat. The Facebook group, oh, I don't know if I updated this one. Did I do it? Yep, this is the More Impact, Less Burnout Hub. This is my client student Facebook group. It's where Cynthia is going to be presenting here in just a few minutes. You can all come on and be inside experts instead of guest experts. We have enough experts in here that we are our own experts. So this is a chance for anybody who wants to jump on Facebook Live. I also record it for you on Zoom, so you can use the video for whatever you want. cut it up for social media clips or share the whole thing. And it's just a chance for you to practice stepping into being the expert, practice teaching about your topic. So make sure you join that if you haven't yet. All this is in that email. There's a private podcast, and if you subscribe to that, I will put all of these replays on there, and also all of the past rounds of the mastermind. This is round 4, and you can go back and listen to any of our Q and A sessions if you want to. And there's also audio versions of that CEU course in there as well, so you can just listen through those modules. Okay, here's some stuff I want to point out. All of our options. We have our state licensing board. Some of them approve CEs, some don't. But if yours does, I think it's worth taking a look, because oftentimes that's the easiest, less expensive path forward. We've got co-sponsorships, which is where you teach underneath an entity or organization or a person that's already a provider. So you would be presenting, but they would be signing off on your CEs. Like some of you have said you've spoken at conferences where someone else provided the CEs. That is most likely a co-sponsorship. And if any of you want to go big, like Tawana, you kind of described an empire that you want to grow, you could sponsor CEs for a conference. You could be the sponsor, and they would be under a co-sponsorship. And then we've got our national organizations, the NASW, the ASWB, the NBCC, and the APA. I have helped people get approved on all of these. I want to tell you that the APA is so hard and so expensive that I almost feel like it's not worth it. It's a better bet to go through a co-sponsorship with something like CE Classes, which I've got linked here. CE Go also does that. So if you want APA, consider a co-sponsorship. Their process, I don't want to scare anyone away, like if that's your dream, but it is not your easiest path forward. And I want you to find the easiest path forward to just get this off the ground and get you moving, you know? And APA only approved twice a year, like February and maybe, I don't know, maybe in the fall. So it wouldn't even be for a while. Their regulations are really tough. You have to have a psychologist on board to sign off on everything. And it's over $1,000 to get started. So when you make a copy of this sheet, I want you to go through. So this is going to be your first order of business, all right? Your first job in this mastermind is to look at your options. Take a look at your state. I've got a list of the state board's requirements here. This is an ongoing document. I'm always adding to it because, like I said, there are hundreds. Find your state. And if you don't see a link in there, let me know and I'll look it up for you because I want to add it. Okay, some states approve, some don't. So take a look at that. And then I want you to take a look at your national organization, either the NASW, the ASWB, or the NBCC. AAMFT, I don't remember if anybody's an MFT here, but they don't do a national CE approval. So take a look at your national organization, and then in between those is your state chapter of your professional organization. So for example, for me being in Ohio, we have the NASW Ohio, which you can get your CEs approved through. You pay them $100. They put their stamp of approval, and then they administer the certificates and everything. So that's like a co-sponsorship as well. But then you don't own that approval. So if you wanted to really grow a lot bigger, I would suggest doing your own. All right, that seems like a good place to ask questions. Does anybody have any questions about that so far?
So you're saying
I
that,
do.
oh, so sorry.
It's okay.
Okay, so you're saying that the way to go is like we could actually apply to our local state licensing board. So I have a few, so I would apply to all of them and then also can choose a national organization or just pick one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so for this next 12 weeks that we're spending together, I want you to pick one. Just
Do you think
one.
it's better to shoot higher and then if I know the process, then go to the state after?
Yeah, you absolutely can. It really depends on your goals. If you really want to grow big and you want to be national, then yes, check out the national organizations. Check out I like the ASWB better than the NASW, but the ASWB is the most finicky with the cross your T's, dot your I's. Every single thing has, like, they literally, I was helping somebody with their application and they literally sent it back because there was a extra line between two paragraphs and they wanted it to be one. They are that picky. So I've been thinking lately a lot about the difference between easy and simple. This is not hard. You know,
it's
great, but it is not simple. It's complicated.
I submitted my publication and that was just such a pain. But I mean, it's doable. It's just annoying. This might be a question for later on, but I was reading up on I don't even know if it's called the sponsorship or code sponsorship, but it was when I was looking into the NASW, it was okay, you can, if you make the course, you can't teach the course. It said something like that. I found that really confusing. Now, if I wanted to be the person who has other therapists under, is that a whole different process?
Yeah, well, so it depends. ASWB requires, so if you were to sponsor, well, okay, let me think about how I want to answer this. Are you talking about co-sponsoring other people, or are you talking about simply having other people present under you?
Well, I'm building a community of very innovative therapists. So I would like a space for them to be able to speak or teach on their particular, whatever that is. So I guess whatever your answer is off what I just said.
Absolutely, yes. So you would be the organization. So you would be the provider, and they would just be the presenter for that specific course. You would still be the one administering the CEUs. I always say, think about what's across the top of the certificate. So you know how when you get a CEU certificate, it says the name across the top? That's the name of the CEU provider, and that's going to be your name. Okay, no matter who is presenting. And then it's going to say title and then presented by with their name. There's a different, you'll have to apply. Sorry, I'm just looking for my folder here because I had some recent CEUs that I had. I was going to show you what I mean, but I'm not finding it. Okay.
Peace Institute, basically, but there was someone else that taught it or something like that, or Sweet Institute in New York. They have, doctor, I forgot his name, that does that too. But that's a different, to become a organization, I'm assuming is different than becoming, you're not submitting for, are you submitting your teaching and then just having other people teach what you created?
It's up to you. So if you look at this sheet here, you see, so the first thing I want you to do is just look at your options. Look at your state, see if they even approve, which, you know that yours do, Tina, and you've got several options there, and you could just go with whichever one's easiest. But I know you're already a provider for some. So I want you to fill out here, does your state licensing board approve? Then take a look at the national organization for your license. Now you can do them for other licenses, like any mental health provider can do NBCC, but if you want to do one of the social work ones, you have to have a social work consultant to work with you. If you're a counselor and you want to do ASWB, you have to partner with a social worker. And then also look at your state level organizations, like your state APA or your state ASWB or NBCC. And then I want you to just look at them, just check them out so you can scope out your options. Then the next thing you're going to decide is, do you want to apply as a provider or as a single course? And that's what I think you're talking about. When you are a provider, you have an overall blanket, like PESI. Think about PESI. You're approved as a provider. You do not have to get every single course approved. You just have to make sure that they meet the criteria, and they're usually good for 2 years. If you just want to do a single course, then just that course is approved. So let's say it says Tina's CEU company across the top, and Jane Doe was the presenter. You could have 20 of those if you're a provider, or you could just have that one approved as a single course. Either way, the provider and the presenter do not have to be the same person. You can hire someone else to teach it for you. Am I answering your question?
Yeah, so I'm always like, walk through yourself like before you try to teach it. So would you say, in terms, if I really want to understand what this process is, it'd be better to go the route of developing a single course and then, see how that goes, and then I guess reach back out and say,
I really do think that is the easiest path forward.
Okay.
So that is where I suggest starting. But if you are someone who's already done a handful and you want to go bigger, you can go this route. For ASWB, you have to have done at least 3 approved CE courses under your business, but they don't have to have been through ASWB. They just have to have been approved somewhere that you administered certificates. So you have to have done 3 before you can approve for provider status on ASWB.
Okay, so if I was to apply a single course, like I wanted to, let's just say, go through ASWB, or can you not even apply for a single course under ASWB until you?
You can.
Okay.
And once you've done 3, then you apply for provider. Yes, that's the exact path forward with that one. That's a great way to do it.
If you submit and it gets approved, are you not the one who teaches it, or is it just like it's just education that's getting shared?
Yeah, you're the one who's teaching it. What I was saying was you could have someone else teach it for you, like one of your staff, one of your therapists in your group practice. No, it's not just out in the wild for anybody to teach. You or someone you have hired to do it for you is actually teaching it.
Okay. And then once you get 3 of those under your belt, then you can actually apply to be like, so my business name's like the Black Sheep Therapist. So then like Black Sheep Therapist Academy or whatever could then host people under, even if but do all of those people have to get their course approved from ASWB to be that, or it's just?
Okay, well, so again, you're talking about 2 different things.
Okay.
To co-sponsor them, which means like, okay, Michelle's conference is offering CEs sponsored by Tina's CEU company. That means you're responsible for making sure every single course in that conference meets the criteria. You are responsible for the post-test and the evaluations and the certificates. You are doing the CEs. But you're letting my name be on the conference, then that's called a co-sponsorship. And yes, I would also have to be a provider. Does that make sense? Like,
yes.
Like Michelle's conference is providing CEs, fine print, CEs sponsored by Tina's CEs. That's a co-sponsorship. Now, and so I don't want everybody to get too tied up in these details because this is specific to ASWB. They do require that anybody you co-sponsor is also a provider. But other organizations don't, like NBCC does not. NBCC, you could co-sponsor anybody's conference. You could just charge them a giant fee and administer their CEUs for them. But you're on the hook for it because you're the one vouching for them.
Yeah.
But that is completely different than like you, Tina, you develop a course and you're one of the therapists in your group practice is going to teach it. It's still under Tina's CEs. Tina's CEs is administering it. It's not anybody else's conference. Like your therapy practice is offering the training, but someone else just happens to be presenting. That is different. That's still under you. That's not a co-sponsorship. That's just the presenter is not you.
Got it. Okay.
Okay. Like, are you signing off on someone else's conference or someone else's CE to be like, are you vouching for it to be under their name? That's a co-sponsorship.
No, I'm just thinking ahead of like, I want to be able to teach a course and I would like to, it be approved for, to get continuing education credits. And then I'm wondering like, if I'm networking with a ton of different therapists and I really want to help them figure out how to build a course within that one specialization, where do they bring it if they want to?
Now, if you wanted to bring them in under you and work something out, like, hire them a contract rate to teach it for your CEU organization, you could do that. And that would be great. The co-sponsorship sometimes becomes not worth it unless it's an enormous program that's going to bring a lot of income for you. It's not worth it. Like for the ASWB, it's a $250 fee to co-sponsor someone. It's a lot of paperwork to co-sponsor someone. You are responsible for whether or not they keep the proper records and all that. I don't think it's worth it.
Okay.
The only way I would do that is if I was going to sponsor a giant conference where my name would be plastered all over everything.
Okay.
And I'd get a ton of exposure.
But if it's just me, like my private practice, and I want someone to come in and teach their course, and their course has been approved by, let's just say, NBCC or something, like they can do that.
Yeah, or once you are a provider, like once you've done your 3 and you've gotten provider status, they can come do that under you.
Got it.
Yeah, like I actually recently did that for another therapy practice. They are a CEU provider. They brought me in to teach. I was the presenter. They were the CE provider. So their name was on across the top of the certificate. My name was under presenter. I had nothing to do with the CE part of it.
Got it. So you just basically got paid to teach, and then they took care of the post-test, pre-test, all that stuff.
Yes. So what you're talking about, you have a colleague who they want to teach about something and you want to help them out. Just have them come teach under your company. Don't bother with all that, co-sponsorship stuff.
That makes more sense. Okay.
Yeah, just like I'm going to pay you a flat rate and you're going to come teach for us. And then my business is going to handle the CE part of it. So you've basically just hired them to come present, and that's the only role that they play. And once you're a provider, you can do that as much as you want.
Got it.
Yeah, you just have to make sure that that you have all the proper objectives, and we'll get into all those details.
Okay.
Yeah, but you could do that now. I mean, for your first one, you could have someone else present. You would just have to but you would still be the CE provider.
But I can't be a CE provider until I've done 3.
Well, what I mean is even as a single course, you would still be the provider, even though you don't have provider status. I know it's confusing.
Yeah.
But you'd be like the CEU company, and they would be the presenter. And you could do that right now if you didn't want to present your own. But like you said, it is a good idea, I think, to present your own the first time and, get a feel for it and build out the slides and do all the things.
Yeah.
Because then you have total control. And you'll all see how like finicky some of this wording can get and stuff when we get to your objectives.
Okay.
All right. So another thing for you to work.
I had one more question. Sorry, Michelle.
Sorry,
so just so I'm clear, and I think we kind of touched on this, but you cannot have a co-sponsorship relationship if you're the provider. Like you really have to be the provider and take on all that responsibility of doing the pre and post or the post test and the certificates and stuff like that.
That's right.
Okay.
Yep. When you do a co-sponsorship for someone, you are responsible for their CEs. So that's why, you would still have to fill out an application, make sure that your objectives are in order and all that. You would just do it directly with them instead of straight to the approving organization.
I meant more if I became a provider.
Yeah.
And I know, like, for example, whatever the company, like CU administrator or whatever they're called, if I could partner with them on a single course and they take care of all of that stuff, right?
Yeah, correct.
But I can't have a provider status where I can do whatever I want, but they take care of the back end. Like I would have to continue to pay per course with them, right?
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's absolutely right. Yeah. If you did like through CE classes or through CE Go, they handle all that back end, but they are the provider. So like they are the ones who own the CEU approval. So that you're right, that would not give you provider status. And it also doesn't help for when you, well, let me think about this. I was going to say when you try to say that you've done the 3, I'm not sure if a co-sponsorship would get you there or not. I think they really want to see that it's under your own company. But that
For
doesn't mean you should,
ASWB.
yeah. For
But what if
ASWB.
I've taught a few times for NASW and they
That's
got,
fine.
and
Yep.
then it can count?
Yeah. But it just has to be something that was approved for CEs and you administered a certificate because they want to see your certificate. They want to see your sign-in sheets, your roster. Like they don't just take your word for it. They want to,
Sure.
and they want to see that it's all under the same business name that you used before.
And I think one of the appealing things about CEU provider, whatever it's called, is that they also can have all of those other companies, or not companies, can also have all those other disciplines.
That's right.
But if you are the sole provider, then and I'm doing all different types of helping professionals, then I have to be the sole provider with the APA and the ASWB and
That's right.
like you have to have all of those.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely right. Yeah. So here's something to think about that goes back to Tina's question too. Let's say you go with CE classes. You know, they charge a flat rate. I think it's $300 plus $5 per person or something like that. Don't quote me on that, but something like that. And that's going to get your course approved through them for APA. They do ABA, ding, ding, ding. They do NBCC and they do ASWB. But in order for ASWB to accept it, you also have to be a provider for ASWB. ASWB is the only one like that you can only co-sponsor people who are also providers. But you could still they have a whole bunch of states that they're approved for. So you're right, you would get a whole bunch at once if you do it that way. The downside is you don't own that approval, so you can't go on and like offer other courses. You know, it doesn't give you the provider status. But still, it may be something that some of you want to do. It's still a really good option, depending on your goals.
What would be the, if the NBCC or whichever one that is, if that covers all different license types, why would someone choose ASWB or NASW aside from just doing that one?
So you probably want to choose your own licensure for starters. So, and here's where it gets frustrating. Here's where the gatekeeping gets really annoying. It all comes down to each person's state board and whether or not they accept that. So, for instance, NBCC, my state does not accept it. I can't get NBCC credit. Some states do. I can apply for them to accept it and they may or may not. So it's really just looking at these options, looking at your goals and figuring out which is the best place for you to start. And they all have pros and cons. One of the reasons I like NBCC a lot is they're very forgiving about their topics. They're the only one that allows business development and professional development type topics. The reason I like ASWB is because social workers in 48 states and all of Canada can use ASWB or can, qualify for their CEs, and some other professions as well. So there is not one, not even APA is going to be a blanket. That's what makes this so hard.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a blanket one. So you have to pick the one that's going to get you the widest reach for kind of the audience you already have. So for me, my state was a great place to start because I could post on my local Facebook groups. I could share it with my, networks, but not every state offers CEUs or approves CEUs. So that's why I want everybody to, just as an exercise in the next week or so, take a look at your state, take a look at the national organizations, take a look at the co-sponsorship options. They're all in that document, and decide which one you want to start with. Nothing is going to cover everybody, but figure out the one that'll cover the most and be the most aligned with your goals. So here's a document that I made for the last round of the mastermind. They asked me to build this, and it's really helpful. So this is a side-by-side comparison of your different options, okay? So start with your license plate, or your license type, and check it out. So here's some of the, it just shows the cost and the pros and cons. So you want to look at these pros and cons. Like, your state is usually affordable and quicker. It's often accepted by other states. A con is that not all states approve CE. So I think that these 2 rows will help you a lot. Looking at the pros and cons. Okay, I've got a lot of stuff linked in here. Handbooks. And then also, here's another really important thing. This is the second thing we're going to work on. So number 1 is to decide which organization you're going through. I will help you. We can help each other. We can talk in the Voxer chat. You can email me. Use this document. Also look at the topics, though, because you want to, if you want to do something like professional development or business building or billing or something like that, you want to go with NBCC because they're the only one that allows that. So that's why I have you decide on your organization first, look at their list of topics, and then we're going to build out your course. Some of you may work that backwards, and that's fine. It just, there might be some shifting around that has to happen. Okay, so I'll stop sharing my screen here. This is in that document in your email, but I'm also going to drop it right here in the chat.
Michelle, I have a question on
Sure, of course.
company structure. So I know not all states are this way, but California is kind of persnickety. So you can either be a sole proprietor, or if you're any type of corporation, like you can't be an LLC, you're a professional corporation. So my group practice is a professional corporation, but you're pretty much limited in scope to be like you're providing counseling services. I'd have to go look at like the legalities again. Anyways, I have a separate LLC, which is like coaching and education and all that. So is it just best to put it under that kind of LLC, coaching and education, and that way it's completely separate? Because I still have both company, and I will, just because the way the state is.
Yeah, so this is a great question, and it's really just a matter of choice, because there's no wrong answer. The way that I have decided to do it, this is just me, but I've decided to put it under my therapy practice because it's attached to my license. You will have to share your license number, it's part of your therapy practice. So that's what I did. I started a DBA under my therapy practice. In some states, that's easier than others. In my state, it's very easy. So I started a DBA called Strong Blossom Inc., which is my training and teaching little division of my therapy practice. I know other people who do it under their coaching consultation business. It's just really, like I said, there's no wrong answer. It's just really what feels right to you.
Yeah.
Where you want it to fall, with your income, what your goals are for it. You can really go either way. This is one of those income streams that is okay to do under your therapy practice because it's attached to your license. Now, if you want to go big and you want to be the next Tessie, I'd maybe put it under your other business, but it's okay either way. One thing that I do suggest, though, is whatever you decide, whatever that name is going to be, keep it consistent. Decide now and keep it consistent, because it's harder to change later. Like if you are applying for an organization that says, well, how many have you done before? Show us some of the CEUs you've taught before. And they mean under that name.
Right. Okay.
So like when I switched mine from, it was just under Michelle Risser LISW Inc. That's my therapy practice. I switched it to the DBA because I wanted other people to be able to present under me. I wanted to possibly sponsor conferences. You know, I just wanted something more broad, and I had to start over. Like that particular business was back at square one.
Yeah. Okay.
So whatever it's going to be, just decide and stick with it.
Yeah. Okay. I think I'm just going to put it under because that's my coaching and educational, and just keep it there.
There you go. That's absolutely fine.
I just didn't know if they frowned on it for whatever reason.
They haven't, they don't frown on it, but what they will do is they will ask you to clarify the relationship between the two businesses, especially if you put a link to a training on your therapy site. And when they go to it, it's a different business name. They are going to want to know why.
Oh yeah, no, I have 2 different sites and all that jazz. So
yeah, and you might want to link to it on your therapy site.
Yeah, it could link it, but it pops over to the other site.
Yep. You link it and then it pops over, and then you have to have a statement on the other side that says, you know, this is a separate business, or this is a business also owned by that provides training. You know, you just have to say, like mine says on my therapy site, when you click for CEs, it says Strong Blossom Inc. is a DBA of Michelle Risser LISW Inc. and provides CEs. And that's something that I had to put on there for ISWB. This is the kind of stuff that you're all going to find. This is the persnickety stuff. It's not what you expect. They're going to say, why did you put this on that spot on your website? And you need to now spend a whole bunch of time and energy explaining that to us and fixing it because we want it in a different place on your website. That's the persnickety gatekeepy stuff. It's usually, and they also are really picky about objectives. That's another one. Okay, what other questions? Did everybody grab this Airtable link? It's in your email and that document, that Google Doc, but it's also right here. This is going to be a great place to start, is just read through this, look for your options, check out your state, your national organization, post in Voxer.
I think it's hysterical as I'm looking through it. Not that I'm surprised, but how New York State does not take CEs from ASWB, even though ASWB is the licensing board. And is the one who writes the test. So I'm just like, this would make perfect sense because it doesn't make any sense.
Yep, it's New York, West Virginia, and then New Jersey does, but they're weird about it, like they're live only or something. Yeah, I know. New York and West Virginia. It is annoying.
Zero sense.
Yep. So you'll want to look at maybe the New York chapter of NASW. You'll want to look at NASW, take a look at NBCC, you know, and just kind of feel out. Some of this is just your gut. Which one aligns best with where you want to go?
They take NBCC? New York, they take credits from NBCC?
Well, that's a really good question. That would be up to your specific board.
Oh, okay.
Whether or not they take it.
Oh, because I saw it said like they didn't go with. So I wasn't sure who they actually did, but I'll click the link.
No, I was just throwing out some other options. But yeah, that's a really good place to start, is with your state, your licensure, and look at what your state accepts for CE.
Well, I have like almost 4, so I'm like, which one do I even start with? But I guess I'll go through all of them.
Yeah.
Michelle, can I ask a quick question? I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, it's okay.
So as you're saying all of these, like, do you know if there's a list that says, you know, because it sounded like NBCC might be a decent way to go for at least my thoughts, the things I'm going to do. If we're going to do that, is there a list that exists that says Maryland, New Hampshire, blah, 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 accepts NBC for social workers?
No.
Okay.
Not that I know of. I mean, I have been compiling a list of which states approve CEs at their state level. But as far as, that one, I kind of leave up to each participant, kind of each person who takes your course, it's going to be up to them.
Yeah.
You pick the one that works best for you.
Right.
And then it's going to be on them to figure out whether or not their board is going to accept it.
Okay.
There's not a list like that I know of, because my gosh, that would be now
So great, right?
Some of them on the document that I've got here for you with the states. Now, some of them I do have a link to the state's requirements for CEs. You would just Google social workers New York CEU requirements and it'll pop
Okay.
up.
Got it.
Or CEU approval, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll usually be on your state board site that tells you which ones they accept.
Okay.
All right. What other questions? Hang on just a second. I got to fix my sound here. Okay. Let's see. Somebody try saying something.
Hello.
Okay, I
Test,
gotcha.
test.
I gotcha. Thank you. All right. Who else has questions for now? I know this is a lot. This is very kind of front loaded. We handle all this kind of paperworky, regulation, finicky stuff at the front. Then we start pulling your applications together, we get those sent off, and then we can start thinking about things like, what platform do you want to use? And, where do you want to host it and stuff like that. But we get all of this hard stuff out of the way. Complicated stuff. Anybody have any specific thoughts about your own state or where you might start? Does anybody know where you want to start?
I'm tossing between the NBCC and the ASW where I'm at.
Okay.
I just keep thinking, where am I going to get the biggest bang for my buck, really?
Mhm.
And like, how many am I going to be able to catch in what structure? Which probably is the co-sponsorship and doing it per course.
Mhm.
And then for the social worker, well, I guess that's APA approval, so people can submit that and probably, because it's APA, get approved for their own CE.
Yeah, that would cover APA and it would cover NBCC and then whatever states accept those. And then there's also a handful of states that they are approved for as well. So yeah, that would be decent bang for your buck for sure. Another option for you, Liz, might be to at least look at NBCC because of the fact that they are so forgiving about their topics, but then that's not going to get. Let me ask you this. Is it important to you that your CEs be available for social workers specifically?
Like, I feel like they're my people, because
Mhm.
I'm a social worker too. So I do want to have that available, but I know New York is rough.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I could go through the chapters. It's just, this is a whole like part-time job.
I know. I've literally made a consulting business.
I know.
It is a
So,
part-time
and I
job.
can just imagine students coming to me and be like, well, what about me? I'm a social worker and wherever. Like, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
And then my
Right.
response is going to be what? Well, you have APA approval, so see if you take that to your board.
Right. I know. That's
Is that
exactly
the
what
response?
that's what you would be saying. And with the co-sponsorship with CE classes, because you would have to also be a provider through ISWB, which is not even accepted by New York, your best bet. Let me look. Okay, I've got New York in front of me here. Let me see if I can find out which ones. List of providers. Here we go. We got it. Okay, this is the state of New York. Social work. Oh, these are just, okay, these are specific providers. Yeah, it's all these like universities and
Right.
Yeah, they're not making it super easy, are they? Courses may only be taken on or after January 1st. Okay, let me look into this. Let me dig into New York a little bit and see what
Okay.
options I can find for you.
Okay.
All right.
Michelle, can I ask another quick question? I'm sorry.
Sure.
So to get when Liz was speaking, it made me think about mine too, because another training thing that I want to do, I was going to start with family therapy because that's my thing.
Yeah.
Excuse me, but I plan to run retreats and international retreats for clinicians.
Mm-hmm.
So it sounds like if I did, because I'm more forgiving of some of the topics, like some of it I want to do like burnout and self-care, which like Maryland doesn't really accept that as part of our licensure, right? But I still want to do that as like people still need it. And I still want to provide it as part of the thing. So it sounds like if I did MBCC and did that 3 times, then I could get approved by ASWB. And at least the social workers through whatever state accepts my topic and ASWB would be able to use that.
Yes.
And then I would be a provider and I could provide whatever I wanted so long as it got approved, as many different topics as I wanted.
Exactly.
And if I have speakers join my retreat, I would provide the CEUs and they
Yes.
would be like a consultant.
You got it. Well, they would be, they could just be a presenter. You wouldn't have to do a co. If it's your retreat, then don't worry about co-sponsorship. They're just a presenter under you.
Perfect. Thank
Patrick
you.
Yes,
Casale
exactly.
uses that model.
What's that?
I said Patrick Casale uses that model. I don't know if you
Okay.
know, if you're familiar with him, Cynthia,
Mhm.
but
Yeah, I actually went to his training retreats, and I'm going to Ireland one in like 4 weeks.
oh, are
cool.
you? Oh, awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Tell
yeah.
him I say hi. We're buddies.
I will.
So that is something that people definitely do is start with one, like NBCC to become a provider status. You only have to have taught one live previously, or you can build an on-demand. So what people will do is create an on-demand, get approved for NBCC, provider status. You're now a full-on provider with them. And then, one class at a time, you put those through, or, you do one class at a time until you've got 3, then you apply for ASWB. So yes, everyone can have a path forward like that. Like I'm going to do this first, then this, and then you just build it over time. But we want to find your easiest place to start. All right. Okay, everybody find me on Voxer. I'm going to look into New York, some options for you. Tasha, I'm not sure what Patrick uses for his retreats.
He does.
I know he
NBCC?
offers those.
Yeah, and it's actually his. I don't know what he does for his personal ones. I should find out since I'm going next month. But the ones that he offers together with Jennifer does it through her counseling center in their NBCC.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. NBCC is wonderful as far as how open they are. And you're right, Cynthia, it's infuriating. My favorite thing to teach about is burnout and compassion fatigue. And those are often not allowed as topics because they benefit the provider, not the client. So what you have to do is you have to put a spin on it that says like, I'm going to teach you how to help your clients with burnout. And then it's like, wink, wink, it'll help you too, but I just can't say that. Because they frown on anything that benefits the provider. Isn't that nice? But remember, if you think of it as it's an extension of your graduate level education. I know it's so dumb, Tasha. It makes me so mad. I was trying to get ethics of burnout, and there are so many clinical ethical dilemmas that can come out of burnout, but they denied it because it was about the clinician, not the client. So
kind of like how NASW wants social workers to pay premiums to be a member, and they do zero advocacy for social workers. Like, where's our compact, NASW? Like, hello.
I know that's a whole nother rabbit hole that became so apparent when Roe v. Wade was overturned and our board was like, y'all are on your own. We realized our boards are not looking out for us. Yeah. All right. Okay, everybody. Well, let's wrap up for today. Anyone who wants to come over to the group and meet Cynthia and I, Cynthia, let's just take a quick minute break. I'll meet you right back here in the same room. anybody, if you want to hang out in here, you can, or you can meet us over on Facebook, or you can watch the replay over there. But make sure you're in the group and make sure you find me on Voxer. All right.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everybody. I'm
Nice
so
to meet
glad you're
everyone.
all
Thank you.
here. I'm
Thank
so
you.
excited. Bye.
Bye.